Hi guys, Chris here. So we're taking this little probe all the way out to Jool. We've just got a simple solid booster launch. So the probe is powered by solar power and it has a little ion engine. I don't know if you've ever used ion engines, but it does take forever to get anywhere. They have just a tiny amount of thrust, but they do have immense amount of fuel efficiency. So I've just got tiny little xenon fuel tanks. But they're going to take quite a while to get me all out to Jool. So hopefully the solid booster is going to get me most of the way into orbit, because the ion engine is just going to be too lacking in power to get me up into orbit on its own. So there we go, we get nice and high. And there we have it. So this solid booster just burnt out. So we're going to detach the fairing. So we've got an SAS module and a fairing module. Then we've got the thing connecting the drone. So you see we've got a little bit of science on it. Just going to unfurl all of these solar panels. Let's let it drift away from the solid booster a little first. Don't want any collisions damaging my solar power. So we've got lots of these. And what we're going to find is, in theory, this should be enough. We need 4 of these solar panels to power our ion engine at full power. But you're going to find that they're all going to block each other's light and it's going to mess it all up. The very big solar panels on paper look like they're much weaker, but in reality, because they tend to have greater exposure to the sun, they work better. So 2 of the huge ones, the huge solar panels, would have worked better, but of course they would be much heavier as well, which means we would have a lot less acceleration for our thrust, and we would have a real lack of acceleration with this ion engine. So we've got our beautiful little probe. We're going to have lots of time to look at it, because it's going to take forever. So I'm going to have a little bit of a throw around the moon maybe. It should help us get out to Jool a little bit easier. If you're using an ion engine, fuel is really a complete non-issue. So I've got 2 normal tanks and 2 side tanks of the ion engine fuel, and this should be enough to get you absolutely anywhere in the solar system. It's going to get me out of Jool, and then I'm going to have plenty of time to buzz around a few of the moons as well. So there we have it. Oh, we just left the solar system. Sorry, left the sphere of influence of the planet Kerbal. You always want to give a little bit extra thrust. If you only just get to the edge of the sphere of influence, you quite often see that the physics model bugs out a little, and you find yourself drifting back towards the planet. I think the problem with that is that it's not calculating the gravity from the moon until after you've left the left the sphere of influence. So when it calculates that, it pulls you back towards Kerbal a little bit, and then you fail to escape. So once you escape, you've got lots of time. I'm just going to adjust the planes. So you burn at 90 degrees to get into the same plane as your target. So it does of course take forever because I'm using an ion engine. This is sped up 16 times. So once you do that, you should be able to get an interaction with the planet. Then we've just got a huge, very slow burn. So you look at the clock here, it's obviously taking a very long time. Also, we've got to watch the power. It is possible to completely drain your batteries if you put your thrust too high with the ion engine. And then obviously ion engine, not only does it drop out, so you get no thrust, You also have the problem that because I'm using a probe core, you also have no control of the probe core. So you have no power because of the iron engine. You have no thrust because you haven't got enough power for the iron engine. But the iron engine still manages to drain enough power that your entire probe's powered down. If you get into this scenario, what you can do is you can right click on your iron engine and you select to shut it down. And then you can get power back to your systems again and gradually build it up. See, it's taking a very long time. We're gradually getting the orbit out there. If I had 2 Gigantor XL massive solar panels, the biggest ones, I would be able to use 100% thrust, but I'd have the disadvantage that the probe would be a lot heavier. So actually I'd end up going slower. So I'm better going at 80% thrust with these lighter solar panels than I would be getting the heavier solar panels. So we've got an interaction now. So let's go all the way out there. Let's go and make fine adjustments. You see, I've plotted a course where I'm lucky enough to get a double interaction. So I'm going to first go and get a pass off the planet. Then I'm going to go out and I'm going to get the moon. Moon, sorry, they're not all called moon. Perhaps they are in Kerbal World. So I'm high over Jool now, so I get lots of sights. Let's transmit it all. And I'm going to check for sights again when I get low over the planet. But I don't think I end up getting close enough that I can get the near sights. Obviously with iron engines you are going to have to be careful if you go into the shadow of the planet. Your power will instantly drop to 0 and then you'll just be dead in the water until you come out the other side. Right, so we try to get some more science, but we're not quite low enough there. So with Jool you can actually get 3 levels of science. You can obviously do high space, near space, and then you can also just get the atmosphere. So I'll also try to get the atmospheric readings with this probe later on. It's going to be a bit tricky. You've got to just clip the top of the atmosphere without going so deep that you get lots of atmospheric heating, because obviously I've got no heat shield. And you also find that Jool's atmosphere is so thick that if you go too deep and you do start getting atmospheric heating, you basically come to a full stop and crash into the planet anyway. It's very difficult nowadays to get an atmospheric braking on the planet Jool. They also changed the atmospheric height of Jool, which is something of a problem. It used to be 139,000 meters, and 100,000 used to be certain death. But I know they've changed. I'm not sure what they are. Guess we'll find out later. So I'm doing braking now. So I'm braking before I reach the planet. This will let me do a low pass. Now I can get some near planet or near moon science off it. Then we're going to go and leave, and now I'm just going to spin around and try to get another interaction. So that would have been with Tylo again. Let's see if we can get Lathe. There we go. So these Tylo Lathe are big moons. The 2 biggest moons, I think, in the entire game. So Tylo's got a huge challenge because it's got no atmosphere. So you've got to land on a planet with no atmosphere, with lots of gravity, you're going to have to use lots and lots of thrust to slow yourself down. Lathe has an entirely different problem, that it's got lots and lots of gravity and a really thick atmosphere. So obviously you're going to have to push your way through that thick atmosphere when you're taking off. So you're going to have to land a huge rocket on the planet, on the moon, in order to take off again. So we can get lots of science. So we can get near planet, near moon science, and you can get far moon science, all these. After this we're going to get an orbit around Jool. And then we can get the near space and the atmospheric readings from Jool itself. That gives lots of nice science. So you want to get the periapsis fairly low. Now when you get below 1,000,000 meters, you are going to have a problem. Because below 1,000,000 meters you start getting acceleration from the swinging around the planet. And this acceleration is enough that you can't actually use the time accelerator. This is really, really annoying. So if you're going to spend a long time near below 1,000,000 meters, you're going to have to actually wait in real time for it to pass for 10-20 minutes below that 1,000,000 meter level. That's more than a little inconvenient. Also, since you're under acceleration, there's lots of other things you can't do. You can't return to the space center, I don't believe. So if you get stuck below 1,000,000 meters in orbit, you're basically gonna have to wait there forever. So don't do that. You actually can't get out of the scenario. If you're in an orbit below 1,000,000 meters and you're out of fuel around Jool, you'll be under constant acceleration. So I don't think you can actually get out of that. I think you'll actually have to reload. There's no other way. Okay, so I've just got to 300,000 meters at a time. I'm going to try to adjust my course a little. So 300,000 meters was enough that there you go. See, I can't accelerate here. So I'm stuck doing this in real time. But yes, 300,000 was above the atmosphere, but it was close enough obviously to get the near space readings. So in real time, this time too close to the planet was about an hour. It might have only been half an hour. Still quite a long time. Eventually though we'll come back up. Then we're going to make some course adjustments. We're going to go below the atmospheric level and get some in-atmosphere readings. So what you'll find is that 200,000 is the top of the atmosphere. But as soon as you get down to about 170,000, maybe even as high as 175, you're going to be hit very, very hard by the atmosphere. It's going to break you very hard and it's going to try to kill you. Okay, so we're just about to clear the atmosphere. And as soon as we do, we're just going to make that course adjustment and get down to around 195,000 meters. Just going to warp to maneuver. Oh, there we go. Right, if you warp to maneuver, then you can cheat and skip the 1,000,000 meter time warp threshold on the way in. So let's do all the science. See, I'm just dipping 198,000 meters, and now I'm going back up again. So I only just clipped the atmosphere. It's good enough for science. If I was trying to atmospheric brake, then that'd be worse than worthless. But as I said, if you're going down to around 150,000 meters, maybe even higher than that, you're going to burn up and die very, very quickly. You're also going to get hit by atmospheric braking so hard that your orbit's going to deteriorate, and you're probably just going to crash into the planet. So we go back up now, and as soon as we're clear of the atmosphere, we're going to adjust our orbit so that we're above the atmosphere, and then we're going to also swivel it so that we've got no chance of interacting with Lathe, because at the moment we're eventually going to interact with that big moon. So we just want to get a nice permanent orbit around Jool so we can just abandon this satellite. Then if you ever need it again to visit any of the other moons around this planet, it'll just be sitting there waiting for us. Make sure we've got all the sights. You have to wait until you're clear, until you transmit it, obviously. I'm just going to bring up the periapsis, and then we go at 90 degrees, just going to twist the orbit a little bit. And there we have it. Jool has been thoroughly probed.